Hello, friends of the Buffalo Naval Park, and for today's video, it seemed as though there was a lot of interest in Great Lakes Maritime, and I did that video a few weeks ago about the tragic history of the Wisconsin/Naomi and other names. So this is another one from Telescope. All right, so glad I was able to procure these from when we had that association conference here this summer. So one blast or two, but 29 dead. So what I've tried to do here is I've tried to map out the collision between these two vessels based on their testimony. So what are these two vessels that we're talking about? Well, I've got the PowerPoint presentation ready to roll, so let's check it out. So this collision was between the Superior City and the Willis L. King. So from the account, on August 20th, 1920, shortly after 9 p.m., a collision occurred between the bulk carrier Willis L. King, belonging to the Interstate Steamship Company, and the freighter Superior City of the Pittsburgh Steamship Company. This incident occurred about 4 to 5 miles southeast of Whitefish Point in that part of Lake Superior known as Whitefish Bay. As a result of the collision, the Superior City sank with its cargo and 29 of the 33 men on board. So here's an image of the Superior City. All right, she was constructed in 1898. At that time of her launching, not of her being brought into service, but of her launching, she was the largest vessel on the Great Lakes at that time. She was 7,400 tons gross weight. She was 450 feet long with a 50-foot beam. All right, it was also important because she continued that building larger, longer vessels in that transition period from sail to steam. Now these, you'll see these three stanchions or the masts coming out, that depending on when the photo could be for radio or telegraph communication. I don't think that they represented, rigging for sails. But this was in that transition period of transferring from sail to steam. She was constructed in Lorain, Ohio. Right, and the town was very proud that she was the largest at her launching, which you can see there. So for the Willis L. King, she was constructed 13 years later. All right, so again, it continues, lake freighters continue to grow in that intertime period. She was 7,500 tons gross weight. She was 600 feet long and 58 feet at the beam. So 150 feet longer, almost 3,000 tons heavier and 8 feet wider. Superior City was loaded and downbound, while the Willis L. King was empty of cargo and upbound. Here's another picture of the Willis L. King. So to give you guys an understanding, here's Lake Superior, there's Whitefish Bay highlighted, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to give you my representation of the testimony during court. And you'll see actually that it surprisingly does not match up. So this is the rough approximation of the Superior City, and where she rests today is a shipwreck and a gravesite for 29 Great Lakes sailors in about 190 feet of water. All right, and I'll cover a little bit of that after the accident and collision discussion. So here's the account from the Superior City. Again, she's downbound, so she's the orange line. The Willis L. King is the upbound. Light, very light. There's no cargo. And heading back up north. So this is the following of court records of their testimony. All right, the Willis L. King was sighted ahead of the Superior City, several miles distant. The lights of the steamer, which later proved to be the Willis L. King, bearing a trifle on the port bow of the Superior City. When the steamers were a proper distance apart, the Superior City blew one blast passing signal, which was answered promptly by the King with one blast, whereupon the course of the starboard city was altered slightly to starboard. A short time later, it was noticed that King was apparently not porting in accordance with her passing agreement, whereupon, while still at a safe distance, a second one blast passing signal was blown and was again promptly answered by the King. The Superior City's course being altered still further to starboard in accordance to her second one blast signal. As the Superior City was swinging to starboard, it appeared that the King was swinging to her own port and was following Superior City around, whereupon the Superior City blew a third one blast signal and a danger signal, and the Superior City's helm was thrown hard aport. This third blast signal was answered by a third one blast signal by the King. And at the same time, the King apparently began swinging to starboard as well. But as it turns out, it was too late to avoid a collision, and about 9:10 p.m., the bow of the King struck the port side of Superior City, and down she went. So when we're talking about passing agreements and navigation agreements, if you're giving a one blast signal, either this could be two ships coming together or two ships on going in the same direction on the water, or navigating in the same direction on the water. If you give a one blast, that means you're intending to leave or to pass the ship on my port side, which means you then begin turning to starboard. If you offer two blasts, that means you're leaving or passing the ship on my starboard side, which means then you're going to go to port, and then the ship will pass you on your starboard side. One blast, you're leaving on port, which means you're turning to starboard, and then there goes the ship, next to you, heading downbound or upbound on your port side. So here we see with one blast, they're kind of just beginning to meet. Here's the account from the survivors of the Willis L. King. And these one blast, two blasts are pretty critical. So it says, they're coming up upon each other. It turns out to be the Superior City, who was a little to starboard. And as the boats continued to approach each other, the starboard city blew a passing signal of two blasts, to which the King responded with its own two blasts and starboarded accordingly. In a short time, the Superior City sounded another signal of two blasts, and again the King responded with two blasts and starboarded some more. And that was the way it went until the Superior City suddenly began to swing across towards the King, and a danger signal was blown by the king, followed by a 2-blast signal. The Superior City answered with a 1 blast and continued swinging across King's bow, whereupon King's helm was thrown hard a port and a 1-blast signal was blown. The engines were worked full speed astern, and the danger signal was blown, but the Superior City continued across the bow of the Willis King, and then she struck her port side. It was near her boilers and the boiler rooms, and so there was not only onrushing water, cold water, but then there was an explosion with the boilers, and she nearly severed the Superior City in half. The Willis L. King did. So it seems from also accounts that the King was going about 12 miles an hour, while the Superior City was going about 10.5 miles an hour. So again, I'm showing you these descriptions in the court proceedings and trying to map it out for you. So again, this was the Superior City's account. Because of the 2 blasts now and intending to leave or pass on my starboard side, they kind of just kept coming together. It was also discussed that it was a clear night and they were able to see each other after a certain distance relatively clearly. So there was no fog or thunder, storms or rain to contend with. I'd be interested, if you're familiar with this collision, I'd be interested in hearing what you'd have to say. All right, did I map this out all right? Does it seem as though it's true to the accounts? Now, based on both of these images, it does seem as though they would be connecting on the Superior City's starboard side. So at the very end, obviously now the collision is imminent. They both decide to turn, and there's actually the collision and impact on the Superior City's port side. So it is a grave site for 29 Great Lakes sailors. All right. The wreck was located in 1972 in 190 feet of water. It was then rediscovered by the Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society in Whitefish Bay in about 1980. Here's where some of the controversy begins. They went down, the Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society went down with a camera in 1988, and they filmed the wreck and extensive skeletal remains, even removing a wedding band off of one of the sailors' hands. And that was subsequently put on display in the museum. This film that they had was also sold at their museum in their gift shop. And it actually is online on YouTube that you can watch. So there was some controversy over that. There was some controversy over some other items that were found. And so I will leave that to your own research. Again, it caused more heartache and tragedy because in 2001, a diver perished while exploring the wreck of the Superior City. Well, I hope you enjoy this little look into this unfortunate collision. All right, on the 20th of August in 1920 between these two vessels. Tell me again if you'd like to hear more. If you have comments about this video, anything that I've mentioned or the way I've tried to map it out for you, please let me know. And thank you for all of your continued support. And we will see you again soon. Thanks so much, everyone.